about success rates, you know that he has the best chance here. We're looking at 3 to 8 months of chemo. The hope is that Braxton gets to go.
Did he start? Hello everyone, we're gonna be getting started here. The student organization would like to call upon Ed Starr to come say the prayer.
Atonaya hippie kohena de watche ke punkte kan we toch on yank de trok ab toch die tunkas la hoya kabin troka loa hiwa wahi yani kolakit yani California Alcatraz at night ja, het ja, wow hier. Het kuku het daar het ooit herkagap. Ko BIA building in Washington ko na views up na Washington na part gekeerd hebben na elwit hoyak. Ja, het is te woord. Hele oorlog het dan hier. Kasla kanten kallen die kutaka hito we talk about yank na trokata oate picton night talk disinfectant kind oh checking to wake up war here kaga picton kind use kana trokata ke kaya picton now honey Dagni wo tuktel uton si wo kwaniche hata hela kontula oyate na oyate kid wot tua apasia witaya ke hata o hewa station so in het echt woke Jacob ik het kasla tegia uton kan hakoza otapi nana ko ka ne yo happy wakan ke kiwana inas lulapi so now we talk to party dumping no Ana kuleon petu ki ognawi kuza pina tona ho kuza tik dag papi. Na ooit haka iets hakat gewoon. Na tona el ompi na petu ki na kuo ki sia wichunki hopping. Het is echt goeie oorlog. Dat
There's gonna be a song by Creekside Singers. Won't be love for that song. Next, we like to call up Dr. Frank. Oh, Dr. Frank. Thank you.
Ampetu washte, chante washte, nampetu zape, dona ya hipikili wopila tankai. Wakanki na tankaki, ushilama pe, waktuje tokahe ichichilape. Taoyate riankapi we imachiapi na washichu chajeki, Don Frank imachiapi na inaweaki Sylvia Tobacco ichiapi na ateweaki Daryl Tukro ichiapi. Minihuha Alwati, Kyuksa Tioshbaya Mataha. So I want to welcome all of you for being here. And before we get started, I want to thank and recognize our Pine Ridge College Center Student Organization for putting this on and expressing their leadership. So when we talk about promising leaders. These are our promising leaders of the future, and realizing the importance of this very important day that's coming up on November 5th to elect our president, our vice president, and our officials, our council members who are our promising leaders. And leadership is very difficult, I understand that. And when we think about all of the promising leadership qualities that we have, there's all of these unfulfilled obligations that we have, both explicit and implicitly. And a lot of the explicit ones very common. We know about fiscal leadership, management, and execution of what we intend to do. And the implicit ones that we make as leaderships, as we are in a leadership role, those are the most difficult ones that we have to fulfill, especially when we're working for our people, when we work for, with, and amongst our people. And I say that because that's the mission of our Lakota Leadership and Management program here at Oglala Lakota College, that embodies our entire statement of what our students do in aspiring to be leaders. So I want to welcome our leaders, for those who are here, our current leaders and our future leaders, and for you willing to step up to this role, because it's a difficult role, it's a challenging role, and all the things that we do and the expectations that we have to fulfill on our day-to-day basis for not only yourselves and reflecting and growing as individuals, but as serving our people. It's really important, and being a servant leader and being in the roles of council, our president, our vice president, or even in any capacity we serve, we're leaders. If you're a program director, you're a leader. If you're a staff member of a program, you're a leader. In all of those roles collectively, we embody that collective leadership to try to promise or live up to our expectations of what we always hear is Hecho Oyata Kinipikte, which means, and so our people will live. So keeping our people in our heart and moving and making those hard decisions should all come from the people in our mind, and thinking of our children, our great-grandchildren that we are preparing for. So every action, every step that we take, every decision that we make isn't for us today, it's for our future. Is for 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and keeping that in our mind and putting those steps in place so that we're able to get there. So I want to thank you leaders here for showing up today and for really supporting our Pioneer Student Organization and Oglala Lakota College, because Oglala Lakota College, we're really happy that we have a lot of our students here going back into the workforce with our Oglala Sioux tribe. And they rely on you to make those spaces for them to be able to express and demonstrate their own leadership. So with that, I want to thank you, and I want to welcome all of you, and welcome Creekside for their beautiful music. They always sing beautiful songs and uplift my heart, and for Lekshi Ed for always being there and being a guide for us. So we'll peel off for the prayers.
Now we're going to be doing the Pioneer College Student Organization introductions and welcomes. Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea Felicia. I am the Pioneer College Center Student Organization President, and I'd like to welcome you all to our debate. Wopila.
Hello, welcome. My name is Clayton Clifford. I'm the Vice President of the Pioneer Student Org, and I want to thank you for all coming. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm Samantha Bissonette-Ekofi. I am the Pioneer College Center's treasurer, and I am pursuing my bachelor's in business administration with the emphasis in accounting.
Hello, I am Megan Littlehawk, the OLC Student Org Secretary, and I am pursuing my bachelor's in social work. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, I'm David Brewer. I'm the Sergeant at Arms, and I'm pursuing my business management degree.
Good Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I'm Stephanie Hawk Janice. I am the Piowachoni Oka Lokje representative. I have my AA in Indian law, and I'm going to finish up this summer with my BA in Lakota Studies. Thanks for coming.
Okay, so we would like to begin with the council reps coming to the stage, please. Okay, so we will begin with the debate rules. 1, time limits and equal speaking time for each participant. 2, a strict adherence to time limits is crucial. 3, timed responses will be enforced. Each candidate will speak in the allotted time without interruption. Candidates will be shown by a sign when they have 1 minute left, then 30 seconds, and then stop time when the time is out. No interrupting while someone is speaking during their allotted time. 5, direct response to questions. Candidates must address the topic asked. 6, write a reply to personally referenced by another candidate. No personal attacks or ad hominem arguments. Neutral moderators enforce rules and manage time. Opening and closing statements for each participant. Equal opportunities for rebuttal. No props or visual aids unless pre-approved. All claims should be factual and verifiable. Should we each want to give your opening statements?
Hello. Ampetu Washte. My name is Julian Spotted Bear. My mother is Gayla Spotted Bear. Her father is Robert Lamont. My grandparents are Josephine Chief, Roy Chief. And we come from the Yellow Boys. We've also grew up in Wakpamni. I currently reside and lived in Pine Ridge since I was a very, very young girl. And I first want to give thanks to the Pine Ridge College Center for inviting the candidates here to present their statements. And I want to recognize that our Oyate are taking a stance. They want to inform vote, and that's what they're doing. This is my 4th forum that I've attended, and I'm grateful, and I wish there was a larger turnout, because the change that we need to start with is a change in the way we vote. We start voting based off of merit, and we start voting based off of those who show up. And I say that because a student from Lakota Tech made that statement, and it sat with me, and it makes a lot of sense whenever you hear it and when you see it. If you mean what you say and you're going to do what you are going to present to the Oyate, show up, because it means a lot whenever you're there. And I'm thankful for Pine Ridge College Center for putting on this event, so we are able to present who we are as the candidates within our respective districts. Thank you, Dr. Frank, for allowing the students to put this on. My name, again, is Julian Spotted Bear. I'm a candidate for Pine Ridge District Rep. And I'm not sure how, this says 1 minute remaining. Okay, sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses. So thank you for that. I look forward to the questions that are going to be asked. I hope that they are challenging, because we do have a challenging job that we are stepping into. Thank you.
Hard act to follow. My name is Michael Carlos Sr. I'm running for representative from the Wakpamni District, And I have a better chance of winning in Eagles Nest District because Eagles Nest District has been wanting positive, progressive leadership for years. And now Eagles Nest will not have to be asking the question, where's the beef? Because Ron Randall is going to serve that district. You know, my whole campaign is based on economic development and employment. 2 years ago, I was chairman of the land committee. I went to an economic summit in the Southwest, and I met a lot of tribal leaders down there. And we looked at all of their things that were happening in their country, in their reservations. I asked them to send us, an invitation to go look at their solar projects. They sent us, invitation. We went down there, we made friends, and we brought a company called SIG Capital to the table. And they were going to employ 200 people, $20 million of revenue to the tribe that would help fund youth, elderly, veterans, and give our districts the allocation they so much need. Our council put that on hold. When you got a gift horse, how do you not use it? I have so much more that I can tell you that I've brought to the table, but, really, I'm saddened by the lack of participation here tonight. What is wrong with our representatives? I missed one council meeting and one committee meeting because I had ankle surgery. My attendance at the council and committee meetings is impeccable. Look how many meetings we had and we couldn't get a quorum. Things need to change, people, but you are the voters that will make that change. I think that has to come from within the council itself to make those changes on what are prioritized, what projects are prioritized on a reservation. And, I was very active when I was on the council. I helped get Tobacco Road all put together, regraded, bladed, and gravel for the people out there, culverts. I helped get the road at Wolf Creek done. And I think it takes an initiative of not only the council, but our administration that need to come to the table. But what I would like to see is that us as leaders start working with all the other tribes, not only in South Dakota, but surrounding states and even in the Southwest. We need to work together as one and do away with the Aberdeen area office where those funds are direct to the tribe, and we can do so much more with direct funding. And I think that is the most important thing that we as the tribe can do to help improve all of our roads on the reservation.
Thank you for that question. During my time on council, I had the opportunity and privilege to travel to Washington, D.C. and visit with the top transportation director, Mr. Buttigieg. And one of the arguments that we had was that we don't have the funding in regards to when it comes to our infrastructure on our reservation. I'm a representative for Pine Ridge District Village, and I still argue today, although that we are further along in our improvements, that we still have a need in our own area. We have driveways that are unapproachable, that you cannot enter, you cannot leave. We have elders who still get their driveways graveled. Myself, I have a driveway that I get stuck in. I've had to attach my truck to a post just to pull myself out. And that should speak a lot for the areas that we live in. Living in Pine Ridge, we still have a need there, but we have to start within. We cannot say we need when we're not fixing within, and that's investing in our people, getting them the certifications and the trainings to get out there. We cannot be in fear of losing our folks to better paying jobs. When we have those jobs here, we fix that within. We fix our pay scale within those programs. Educate our folks, get them the certifications they deserve. When I was in the military, I served 21 years, and I was pushed for every certification out there on top of my college education. I've certified through everything that has given me the opportunity to work in positions that some could not. We have to fix that within and trust our directors, who are also leaders, and allow them to manage their programs, train their people, send them out to get their certifications, bring them home, and let's start building. Wopila.
Thank you. Next question 2, under public safety. What measures will you take to combat youth drug use and violence? And how will you support at-risk youth?
Thank you for that question. That's a very good question. I use this argument, and I've said it just recently, that our current council have talked about how strong they've made their laws currently today. But how are we going to strengthen laws when we don't have the manpower to enforce those laws? We don't have a rehabilitation center for our juveniles, for our adults who attend these facilities and have no way out. We want to imprison them, but we don't want to heal them. And that's where we need to start, is healing our way out there. There's no rehabilitation, but we're strengthening laws. There's no recovery for addiction, but we want to strengthen drug usage. We have to do things the opposite way, and that's finding a means to heal our way out there. As far as the drugs and the crimes, I've said this also, it's our relatives that are doing this. It's our family who are out there, and unless we take that step forward and either turn our family in, talk to our family, or bring them in and work with them, there's no way we're going to change this if we continue to hide our relatives when we know they're carrying the guns, that we know they're trafficking the drugs. We have to take that hard stance. And recently, a lot of folks know this. That was a decision I've had to make, and I had a lot of backlash for it. But I can't preach that we have to do one thing, and I'm not going to do it myself. So it's taking that hard stance and saying no to drugs, and that means saying it to our families as well. Wopila.
Well, I'm glad your questions are simple. You know, my whole idea of how we tackle, some of our drug and, problems on a reservation is through employment. Every year, over 200 students graduate, whether they're on the reservation or off. And not to mention how many graduate from OLC. If 30 of them students go on to college, higher education, trade schools, military, that leaves 170 students a year. We have council members been on the council and brag about their 10 years, whatever, how long they've been on there. So I'm going to use a 10-year example. 10 years, that's 1,700 of our youth that we have not employed. We need to bring employment. If our kids out there had employment, they would be proud because they're bringing home a paycheck. And one thing about that is that they're not going to be out all hours of the night. They know they got to go to work the next day. So I think by bringing about employment, and I asked those people that have been on for 10 years, how many jobs did you create in those 10 years? Anybody know? I'll bet you could count them on both my hands. When we have hundreds of our youth that need employment, and our middle age group, everyone wants to go to work. You know, let's be honest. Let's go out there and bring about different types of economic development that have shelf life. What I mean by shelf life is that those projects have long-term effects, years that they're going to employ our people. And we need to continue with our lawsuit against the Justice Department to bring about the revenues that we need to increase our public safety. Thank you.
Thank you for your responses. Question 3 under healthcare or education. What role do you believe technology should play in advancing educational opportunities? What role do you believe technology should play in advancing educational opportunities?
I'm a firm believer in the educational system. I was a former board member on Pine Ridge High School. I started the tailgate parties up there that are going on today, and we just had a playoff game up there. And, you know, it brings interest, it brings parents to the game. Technology today, I got grandkids that could probably do more on their little tablets than I could. But I think today, technology is going to be something that rules the world. And we need to be ready for it. The jobs that I tried to bring here are jobs with technology. The individuals that were going to put up the money for those projects, they were going to bring about different types of employment, training, and they were going to give grants and scholarships to our students so that they could further their higher education. You know, how many of our students out there today are really getting into, you know, different positions of engineering? That's something that we really need on our reservation. We have 9 multi-purpose buildings being built across the reservation. We should have a tribal member that's working on the design of those buildings. Even in the health field of animals, animal science is something that we need to bring about on the reservation. We're an agriculture society here today, and I think that that's something I would like OLC to look at, is bringing about some type of a program for veterinarian science. Makoche agriculture today is going to be an innovator with technology too. Hemp is going to be something that is going to save our reservation. And they're going to be able to build homes. All the equipment that they're going to buy in the hemp fields that are going to be cut and the processing, we're going to be able to build our own materials to build homes. We need to start looking at some type of a co-op, working together with them to build homes across our reservation. And that's something that everybody out there knows that we need with our families, you know, in substandard housing. So that's something that I will be looking forward to trying to get done too. Thank you.
When regarding our healthcare and technology, I have to mention that by trade, my background is as a network administrator. I worked in the information technology field for over 18 years. And when I was on council, what I recognized, and prior to that, living in a highly rural environment, we fall within that digital gap that prevents us from moving forward or excelling forward. And one of the initiatives and successes that we were able to accomplish during my time on council was establishing our first broadband telecommunication services. And today we can actually say that we've sent students to Florida who received certification, graduated, and came back home, opening up opportunities for jobs. And that's a huge plus, and we're starting out, and imagine where it can go. Cheyenne River has the oldest telecommunications in this nation, and that's something that we don't talk about, and something I've learned during the buildup of the broadband telecommunications. During COVID, we recognized that a lot of our students fell extremely low in their academics. Our medical needs were not met due to the inability to utilize the technical equipment that was provided to them or that they did not have at all. We pushed for the multicultural or multi-resource facilities, and one of my biggest asks inside those facilities is that it would be the integration inside that facility would be full of technology, a computer room that we can utilize for our Oyate who don't have that type of technology, a projector with the ability to display programs, movie nights, everything all inclusive inside this facility. So we made sure to push for funding to be set aside in order for those to be built. Because currently, right now, we don't have an outlet for our youth. Our youth have zero outlet. They cannot go and get away to a nice park, a nice lake, a game room, a arcade. There's no outlet for them, so they're turning inward, and they're getting on their phones, they're getting on their home laptops, and they're seeking advice, they're seeking guidance, and they're talking to complete strangers who don't have their safety in the best of mind. And so that's something that I fought hard for during my time on council, and I feel like I didn't finish my fight during that time. 2 years is not enough to push for efforts that you want to see. It's just enough to initiate them. And then if you don't get back in, you don't get to complete them, or someone else comes in with a different agenda. So broadband is going to pull us out of that digital gap. And I'm proud of that, and I stand behind that. And it goes back to what I've said, that we have to empower our directors. We cannot be a council representative, a legislator, and try to be a director. We have to empower our directors who are educated, are subject matter experts in their fields, and support them. And that's all a part of the healthcare needs that we fall in between, is not being up to date in our technology. Thank you.
Thank you for your responses. So we have a question from the audience. Question: in the Killer Muso administration, the tribe agreed to participate in the South Dakota State Non-Indian Water Project called the West River Water District Black Hills Pipeline. Many people expressed concerns that it violates the water rights of the Oglala Sioux tribe to Missouri River. Do you support or oppose the West River Water District Black Hills Pipeline?
Be honest with everybody. Last administration, as a representative of the OST, I went to those planning meetings, to one of them in Rapid City, and I was told to settle down. And the reason they told me that was because I told all the people that were there, I said, you know what? You stole our land. I said, now you want to steal our water? The Black Hills are ours. And I said, you know, it's not our fault that, you know, you as the state of South Dakota, through the national parks, are allowing all of these mining entities to come into our hills and use up the water. So it's totally wrong. I don't support it. I would support it if there's a way that we can get more water to our reservation, and it can help upgrade all of our sewage problems on our reservation. You know, let's be fair. Our governor does not care about us. She don't care about us as residents of the state of South Dakota. And we got to go meet with the governor. Former President Killer's back there. He'll attest to what I'm going to tell you today. When we met with her, this was something that was on the table. But her question was, what do I need to do to lift this ban? We're not going to lift no ban on the governor. We told her, what can you show the residents of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation where you've implemented funding to assist our people? Not $1 that I know that she's ever brought to our reservation. Anybody know about critical race theory? That was a question I asked the governor. Why are you trying to change the textbooks? Take the history of the Lakotas out of our textbooks that our kids are reading today. And she said, I'm not trying to take those historical events out. I want to put more of them in there. I said, okay, Governor, you have your educational department here. I want to ask them a question. How many Indian educators did you reach out to try to make these changes in the textbooks today? They said, we haven't reached out to any. I said, is that something that you would consider doing? Oh, that's a great idea, Mr. Carlo. And I think that we'll be trying to do that. Today, 2 years later, 3 years later, any of you Indian educators out there been contacted by the state of South Dakota? None, correct? None. Our governor is full of it. And I hope that there's a better turnout at the polls on Tuesday so that we can elect the first woman president of the United States, because I will guarantee each and every one of you, Indian tribes are going to benefit from that lady. She has a heart. She has compassion. Thank you.
I first want to take a stance that I am completely against drilling or mining in South Dakota or any of Uchimaka. This morning during Veterans Hour, it was a topic that came up regarding the amendments on the national elections. And I brought up a time that I went to Pierre to sit with the government as an ex-officiant during two presidents ago. And when we went there, one of the discussions was the Riot Act, and the other discussion was pipelines. And I was so angered that our relatives were willing to sit at the table, some of our relatives, not all, at the table with Governor Noam and Mr. Flute, the tribal liaison for the state, and ask what our thoughts and encourage us to buy into this taxation of the pipelines. And in layman's terms, if there was a spillage, that insurance would go to the lands or the owners of those lands. And I argued adamantly that there should be no mining of our lands. And to even have that discussion angered me. So I stand behind no mining. We have a water line that was supposed to support our reservation directly, but we have a whole county that's able to tap into that water line and feed their fields, their farming lands. That infuriates me because we could use that water here. And I'll say this, we don't drink the water from our sinks. I grew up on that water, but I know it's not safe to drink that water. During that time in 2019, 2020, an article was given, or a survey was done on the water. And one of the concerns was at that moment, at that time in 2020, the uranium level was at 15 MCL, the most contaminated level that's allowable to be in our waters. And that was just mind-blowing that that wasn't a topic that was discussed or that wasn't publicized for everybody. And it's hurtful that that conversation is being brought back into our legislature now. So I really hope that our folks do get out there, register if they haven't registered, vote. Vote like your sovereignty depends on it. That's what was stated this morning, and I felt that to my bone. Vote. Encourage everyone to vote. Wopila.
Thank you for your responses. We will now move to our vice presidential debate forum. Oh, excuse me, we're going to allow you guys to do your closing statements. My apologies.
My closing statement is that, I think that I have the compassion, I have the heart of a lion, and I take my job serious. You ask the guys that are on security at the tribal office, who's there every day at 8 o'clock? Mike Carlo's there at 8 o'clock every day. They're like, why do you come this early? I'm like, that's just the way I was raised. I'm here because the early bird gets the worm. And like I said, my attendance is impeccable. And I want to do something for the future of our youth on this reservation. I have almost 30 grandkids and great-grandkids. So believe me, I have a vested interest in this reservation and how I want this tribe to be able to provide to not only my grandkids, but to each and everyone else's grandkids and kids. We have to become responsible. Now my understanding is that there was a program that was supposed to feed our youth this summer, and that money was used as campaign money. And now the state of South Dakota wants $1.2 million back. Now how wrong is that? How wrong is that? Where are we going to get our financials right now are not the greatest, and I'll tell you that right now. So why are we not going out and taking these chances to bring about economic development? I'm only going to close because I think that a lot of people's minds are made up. But believe me, if you want a progressive candidate, I'm your man. If you want to stick with the status quo and elect individuals that are just getting a paycheck, that's up to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, my name is Julianne Spotted Bear. I'm running for Pine Ridge District Village Representative. I am 21 years retired from the United States Army. I'm attending Black Hills State for political science. I have vocational training. I have technical training. When I retired and came back home in 2019, I hit the ground running. I recognized first that there was a need for our homeless relatives, our houseless relatives. There was no shelter for them on our reservation. So the first thing I did as soon as it got cold, I forced my way into the Billy Mills Hall, and a lot of people don't know that because it wasn't something I did it to brag about. I did it because it was a need. I wasn't in a leadership position. I wasn't in any position. I just seen that there was a need for our people, so I fought hard to get them in there, get them under cover, and keep them warm. And today, we're housing homeless relatives, houseless relatives across the reservation. I've also recognized that we fall within a digital gap that is hurting us, that could be very beneficial to us if we were further along in our technology. So I pushed for the broadband, and we got it passed successfully. And today we have our first telecommunications on this reservation. I continue to work for veterans. I continue to work for the youth. I don't make grandeur promises, but what I do promise is that I work hard, and I'm going to work for the Oyate. I have nothing to gain from this other than to see our people thrive. Wopila.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you for coming. We are going to begin with raffle. Did everybody get a ticket? And then we're going to move into our vice president forum. Okay, so ticket number 0733633. Oh, Michael C, it says in the back. 0733633. 633. Okay, it's the lads. Go to the back there, and they'll give you your raffle.
So at this time, we'd like to get the vice presidents up here. I'd like to thank the vice presidents for taking time out of their days to come today. Go over the debate rules. Time limits and equal speaking time for each participant. Strict adherence to time limits is crucial. Time responses will be enforced. Each candidate will speak in the allotted time without interruption. No interrupting while someone is speaking during their allotted time. Direct responses to questions. Candidates must address the topic asked. Right of reply when personally referenced by another candidate. No personal attacks or ad hominem arguments. Neutral moderator to reinforce rules and manage time. Opening and closing statements for each participant. Equal opportunities for rebuttal. No props or visual aids unless pre-approved. All claims should be factual and verifiable. So at this time, I'd like the vice presidents to give their opening statement. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Alicia Musso. My parents are the late John and Vera Musso, and my grandparents are the late Lena and James Musso. I'm from Porcupine, South Dakota. My Hunka parents are Howard Brown and the late Karen Spoonhunter Brown from Wind River, Wyoming. I am currently in my second term as your vice president. I'm seeking re-election for my third term. I want to thank the OLC student body and student government for putting this on. I have an AA from OLC. I love OLC's classes. They're some of my favorite classes I've ever taken in all my educational career. Being able to have those Lakota fundamental courses that are required really do help us to get that strong foundation and encourage it and continue it in our students and those who are future leaders that come out of OLC. So I want to say Lilo Wopila to Oglala Lakota College for putting this on, for inviting us. Thank you for the good words, President Dr. Frank, for getting us started, and look forward to answering your questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. I want to thank the individuals in the print shop for changing my name for me. I'm presently now Joseph Walks with Water. It's on the tag. My name is Joseph Walks Underground. I'm from the Medicine Root District. Before I begin, I want to say to my elders, forgive me for speaking before you. I mean no disrespect to those younger than me. I ask your I ask and thank you for your attention, for listening to these important matters which we are about to discuss. My family are those of Bull Bear Walks Underground. Them are my Tiospies. We're from the Kiaksa of the Medicine Root District. I've lived here for most of my life with the exception of going to school in Gordon, Nebraska during my grade school years where my mother lived with my stepfather, Joseph Rosales. I returned here to the reservation and graduated from Little Loon School in 1981. From there, I went into the Marine Corps, served 6 years active duty and 3 years active reserve. I went to college briefly, and then I got into the workforce and worked many construction jobs. Left here after working at the casino for about 4 years. Was there when they opened and left there and went to Washington State in 1998. It was in Washington that 2 important things happened to me. I was reunited with my family, 2 older sisters, and my biological father. It was also there that I found my sobriety. I've been clean and sober for 26 years now. That in itself is an accomplishment, and I'm very proud of that. With that, I will end, and I appreciate the Pine Ridge students for putting this debate on, and I look forward to your questions. Hohe, Wopila.
Thank you. We'll begin with the questions. The first one will be for public safety. How will you address public safety concerns, particularly regarding gun violence, and ensure the safety of our community and the children living in our communities?
Thank you for the question. So I do want to start by letting you all know that we all work as a team, as the tribal council, as the tribal executive committee. We work as a team, and there's people who have expertise that have leaned into the public safety and are representing us in our court case. They have police backgrounds and public safety backgrounds. So I really appreciate them and really rely on them to inform me too, so that we are all on the same page and singing the same song, if you will, and really pushing for those things for public safety. I lean in whenever I'm asked to, and recently I was asked to by Law and Order Committee, Chairman Watkins, and Education Committee, Chairman Yellowboy, who is here, and they asked me to join some of the meetings, the joint Law and Order and Education Committee meetings, so that I could lean in however I could. And my background is psychology and research and a number of community work, and so I started to research gun safety and what we could do, what people are doing out there, what communities are doing. And there's a number of things that our communities are doing to address gun safety and gun violence. And one of the things is laws, creating laws. And we actually have some laws on the books for guns where you're supposed to register your gun. And we've talked about that in Law and Order, and we know we need to get more people in positions to actually fulfill the law so that people are registering their guns. But, that is one of the things that communities are doing for gun safety to combat gun violence, is to really strengthen those laws. Another thing is to do gun safety education in the community. And, I was thinking about that. I asked in at another debate, like I said, we have experts in a number of areas, and Ms. Turkelson was out at Wombly, and she let me know that we have one shooting range on the reservation in Kyle. The shooting range is where you learn how to do gun safety. It's where you can safely shoot, learn how to handle guns, learn how to take care of them. It's a place that's where you go to do that. And so I was thinking about it, like, we need to figure out how to get more shooting ranges too, right? So we can do gun safety. We can have those classes with our children, with our families, to teach them how to use guns, how to take care of them, how to make sure they're safe in your home. And then there's a number of other things that we can do for sure. But in that line, I've been working with emergency management and also with public safety, and we got some gun locks from the state of South Dakota. So it's also working with our partners too. Secretary Magstat from the South Dakota Health Department, she's the secretary for that. She's always willing to help us. So I just sent her an email and said, hey, Secretary, can we get some gun locks so that we can distribute them in the community? And she said, sure. So she sent us 500 gun locks, and we're going to try to get those out in the community. We don't want to just put them at the district centers and things like that, because we know, it's not like Naha where people will flood to go get gun locks, right? People will go if Naha's there, but I don't know about gun locks. So we got to get out in the street and give them to people, get them to people, teach them how to use them, do that gun safety on the street, and get out there and talk to people. So that is some things that, like I said, we have many experts on our council in different areas, and we work as a team. And so when I'm called in by committee or anybody, I'm happy to help, happy to do some research, happy to do some legwork to get those things to our community and follow through with them, because that's the biggest thing, is follow through. We can talk about things all day, but we got to follow through on them. So I try to do follow through in a lot of things, and that's one area I'm working on for the gun safety and gun violence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. And in regards to gun safety and law and order, I think that one of the things that I'm running on is treaty obligations. When it comes to treaties, there are many things that are within the Treaty of 1868 that cover a lot of areas that are of concern here on the reservation. A lot of the issues in regards to the health, education, public safety, all these things are issues that were guaranteed when they entered into the 1868 treaty. Currently, we live under 3 laws. We live under tribal law, state law, government law. And yet you could say we're probably the most least law-abiding people on this continent within the United States. I mean, it's not just here on our reservation, it's every reservation within these United States. When the IRA government was created in 1934, prior to that, when they established this reservation in 1889, and even prior to that, when General George Custer discovered gold within the hills of the Black Hills, we had the Treaty of 1868. And in that treaty, those of our ancestors who were there negotiated with the government and said that these are the things that we want from you before we allow you to go and take our lands. And even then, it wasn't even, they did not negotiate for them to take the land. They negotiated that those Black Hills would be ours forever. And yet, when that gold was discovered, they violated that treaty. So that's one of the things that I think is important that we do as a governing body, is that we pursue these obligations that the government has to our tribe. Not only our tribe, but all the tribes that are within that treaty. I also am campaigning on transparency and accountability. Einstein said that, one of the things that Einstein said was, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I think that's what's been happening here with our current IRA government. We do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. I think constitutional revision is something that really needs to be addressed. I think that with that current constitution, which they call the boilerplate constitution, it's not working for the people. The people have no power here. Individuals get into council, and they're the ones who are basically in control. So when it comes to public safety, I think that as President Stark comes out stated that they were working with the government, they sued the government, and they won, but the government's been stalling. We're in need of law enforcement. I know the college used to have an actual program where they were training law enforcement officers. I remember that. I've lived through quite a bit. In fact, this building over here was supposed to be the tribal building. And because of the powers that be at that time, they decided that it wasn't going to happen, so the college took that building. That was back in the 1980s. I think that the communities need to do a lot more also. I mean, we live in, the current situations within our communities. I think there's a lot more that the individuals within these communities can do. We can create community programs and community watch, all these things that could be addressed. I mean, cameras are not that expensive anymore. We could hire people to monitor cameras in the evening and be in contact with public safety. And should something happen, they can contact public safety. As it stands now, we don't have enough officers. And I think that's something that really needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question will be from the economic policy. The idea of creating commercial spaces such as tribal arts and crafts facility or trade center has been brought up. How do you plan to support local businesses and artists to promote economic development in our communities?
Thank you for the question. And again, I'll go back to the treaties, because when they discovered gold up there in the Black Hills, since then, when Gold State Mine was still in operation, there was 50 million ounces of gold taken out of them hills. At current price of $2,754 per ounce, that adds up to $137,700,000,000 that was taken from the Black Hills. That money should be money that should go to the tribes that were in that treaty. Now, I'm not saying that we'll ever see that money, but that's something that should be looked at. With that money, we can create a lot of job opportunities. We can create businesses that the tribe would own and operate. I'm a strong believer in economic development and individuals who want to be entrepreneurs. Jobs are important here. I think small businesses are important here. I at one time had attempted to run a small business here, but because of COVID, my business is no longer in existence. So when it comes to small business, I understand the need here. It's difficult if you don't have the financial support, if you don't have if you don't have the financial institutions supporting you, it's real difficult to even create a job here. I am a graduate of this college. I graduated with a degree in human services, and with that degree I was able to be employed in many different jobs. Education is important, but I think that with the new opportunities out there in regards to green energy, with wind energy, solar energy, I think these are the aspects that really need to be looked at. As Mr. Carlo had mentioned, hemp is something that I think really needs to be looked at also. We have millions of acres here on the reservation, which seems to be only given to a group of people who operate large corporations here on the reservation, and it's to no benefit of the tribal members. We're all aware of this. So I think the tribe really needs to look at how our land is being utilized. We can do a lot better here. We have natural resources. We have a lot of opportunity here. Thinking outside the box and bringing in outside entities and corporations, I think, is something that we really need to look into, which also is a part of the treaty. Because we are a sovereign nation, we have the right to go out and negotiate with other countries. So that kind of is, in a nutshell, what I think about economic development and our current lack of. Thank you.
So, first I just want to acknowledge that we do have our own local economy, right? It may not look like off-reservation economy, but we have our own local economy. Our people know what's in need, and they provide it, right? I always look forward to what food vendors are going to be in Pine Ridge for the day, right? Because we got a lot of good cooks and who provide those services for us. It may not be a brick and mortar, but you know, we're lined up waiting for them because it's good, it's quality. So I want to give a shout out to our local economy because we think it should look a certain way, and that's the thing I love about us here is that whatever we have, we make it our own, and our economy is one of those as well. Some ways that we try to support the local economy in my office is that we try to support our local businesses. You know, Nupa Theater is an amazing place on our reservation where we can go and take our family, our kids, and watch a movie. I don't even know how long they've been here, but it seems like they've been here forever, but we know we have never had a movie theater before them. So we try to support those local businesses that we already have in place. We also know, like, we have the art space across the street. Oyate Techa has a restaurant in there too. You know, those things, we just try to continue to turn over the dollar, and we try to support things that are local events for our community, because we want them to continue to be able to do those events for our community. So we also sponsored a day at the Prairie Pumpkin Patch over by Allen. So we try to just turn the dollar over and keep it here on the reservation by using our local vendors and our local businesses. One thing too that I've been helping with, like I said, if there's a lot of experts on council and our programs, and when people ask me to help, I'm always happy to help and learn. And one thing I've learned is that our infrastructure needs to be developed. If we're gonna develop businesses and brick and mortars, kind of like you mentioned, like, you know, those commercial spaces, we need the infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about the water in Pine Ridge. So in Pine Ridge, the water system is from like the 30s. It's cast iron. So if a water pipe breaks in Pine Ridge, we have to shut the whole town down because there's no valves in Pine Ridge. So I've been working with our water guys, our water crew, water team to figure out what the infrastructure really looks like. And we have Mini Wachoni, and then we have our own water and sewer, so we have 2 different water systems. It's very interesting. It's fascinating to me, and I love learning from these guys and learning how I can help. And so currently we have 7 Years, 7 Generations with Bob Pilley. He's trying to get our municipalities' water systems up to date, so then we can turn it over to the BOR. So that'll free up our water and sewer guys who have to do all the water breaks, because I know you guys have seen all our water breaks we've been having, right? So that's one way I've been trying to help with, you know, if we're gonna build businesses and bring large buildings to our reservation, we need the infrastructure. That's something that I have learned, and I think we've all learned here. You know, when we saw the FEMA trailers, just, you know, when we got the influx of FEMA trailers and they were just kind of sitting, because you need infrastructure for anything we want to do here. We need water, we need sewer, we need electricity. You know, we need those things to make these buildings come to life and be operable. So that's something I've been working on, specifically is the water infrastructure with our water team. And it's been an honor and to be able to work with them. I've learned so much. So hopefully we figure that out, because I also think that we need to make water a utility, right? So we just recently placed the utilities board in place so that we can figure out how to charge people for our water. Not necessarily our local people, but we have the county, the state, and if that water pipe, you know, the Mini Wachoni coming from the river here, those people along the way. We need to figure out how to get some funds out of that, because that's our water that people are using along the way before it gets to us. So I'm really excited about our utilities board to figure out what they can do so that we can build the infrastructure, but also maintain it through a utilities board and through getting funds from folks who are using our water. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is regarding healthcare. How do you plan to tackle issues related to healthcare and education on the reservation? How do you plan to tackle issues related to healthcare and education on our reservation?
When you say healthcare education, can you elaborate a little bit more?
Just having more opportunities for college students to bring jobs back here and be able to get jobs whenever they finish.
Thank you. So I'm on the Indian Health Service Direct Service Tribes Advisory Committee. There are some tribes that have 638'd their health care, and we've 638'd a couple components of our health care, but most of it hasn't been 638'd. So we are considered a direct service tribe for a majority of our health care. I've learned a lot on this. I've also beat my head against the wall going to these meetings over and over and saying the same thing, right? But Director So for IHS has been amazing. She's an amazing champion for Indian country at IHS. So I do want to give her props, because she's making some huge changes at IHS, changes that have been needed for a long time. And that includes the hiring process. So federal entities, the hiring process takes forever. And it was taking forever at IHS. So they have revamped their HR. So they put in a new director, and they're looking at numbers and trying to figure out how long, because it was taking months to hire someone, and I think it's the same up at Pine Ridge High School. They were taking months to hire someone, and then they wouldn't even tell them it'd take 3 more months for them to come on. That's like almost a year. These people are going to find other jobs and move on, right? So we had a high vacancy rate at Indian Health Service. I think we're like upper 30% now, when it was over 50%. It was like 60-some% for a while. But with these changes they're making in HR, and we continue to push that. We continue to push that because some regions were better than others, but in our region it was taking forever. So we continue to push that, and they are making changes at IHS for that specifically. They've also done, I go to a lot of consultations for HHS and for IHS, and one of them they've asked about is what jobs do we need to provide scholarships for at IHS? Because I'm sure you guys know about the IHS scholarship, the loan repayment program, and the scholarship. The loan repayment for IHS, you have to pay taxes on that. And the HRSA is under HHS. That loan repayment, they don't have to pay taxes. So we're asking HHS, why is one of your departments don't have to pay taxes on their scholarship and IHS has to pay taxes on their scholarship? That's not equitable. That's not fair, right? You need to make those changes, HHS, HRSA, to make our IHS scholarships non-taxable. It even goes further than that. It goes to the Treasury. The Treasury also is looking for consultation because there's an executive order out there right now where all departments, all United States governmental federal entities have to look and see how much money is available for Indian country, how much they're using, and how much they can bring in to help Indian country. So even the Treasury, Treasurer Whitehorse is on the Treasury TAC, and she wrote in there that the IHS loan should not be taxable, right? So there's all these different entities we have to work with and consult with, and so we're taking those to them too, so that, you know, the scholarships, if anybody wants to work at IHS, one, they can get hired quicker, and two, they won't be, if they get the scholarship, they won't be taxed. There was also consultation to figure out what jobs should have scholarships. So we put in our input too to say more jobs need to have scholarships, like X-ray technicians and things like that. So those are the ways that we can advocate for more healthcare. I do know jobs, healthcare, education. I also know that Ichaga is looking to bring a clinic, and they're trying to figure out what we refer people out to, you know, the higher care that IHS doesn't have, so that we can bring those services here. So Ichaga is our economic and business development arm of the tribe, so they're looking to see what we refer people out for, and if we can bring those services here as a tribe and charge for those. So to try to figure out how to bring, you know, keep the trust responsibility there with IHS, with the other entities too, and really advocate for our people and for those healthcare jobs. Thank you.
So the question is in regards to healthcare and education. I think that, first of all, I want to say that I'm not real fond of public speaking. I think too many times people can say things and not really say anything. I would go back to what I said earlier in regards to the treaty obligations, because those are two of the things that should be guaranteed with our Treaty of 1868. As I stated before, there was a lot of gold that was taken out of them Black Hills, Arpkahasapa. There's also the fact that as Native Americans, we're only 2% of this whole population within these United States. When you have these United States spending billions and billions of dollars overseas on wars in different countries, I think that these United States can do a little better for us as tribes we're all aware of the fact that IHS is inadequate, underfunded. Our education system is also the same situation. I appreciate that we have a college here, but as was also stated, when individuals graduate here from here, we don't have really nowhere to go for jobs. Jobs are something that are important because it helps you feel like you're actually accomplishing something in life. Personally, I don't think capitalism is something that is working for us as a people. You can go out off the reservation with your education from here, but many times, because of the color of your skin, you won't be chosen over someone else. Sadly, that's the reality. And I know that for a fact because I did go out there and I did work out there. And it was difficult. So when I returned home here in 2004, I returned here and I lived next to my grandmother in a motorhome with my 4 children. Within a month, I had a job. I worked at the treatment center on Petuluta for about 4 months, and after that time, I purchased a mobile home. So there's a lot of issues here in regards to education and our healthcare system. I think that that's something that really has been an issue for decades, actually, and it, for whatever reason, has our council has a hard time addressing it. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know the answer to that, but I will do my best to try to find answers. Thank you.
This is the last question from the audience. What can be done to combat nepotism within our HR department to help get our college students jobs and leadership roles that will better attract?
That's a really good question, and I'm glad you asked it because, yes, that is the truth. There's a lot of nepotism, favoritism, cronyism going on within our, not only our tribal government and our programs, but you have people coming back from big educational institutions and aren't able to find jobs because the jobs are already filled by someone who's related to someone, or to be honest, for whatever reasons, our people seem to think that the white guy is more qualified than the Lakota who comes home from institutions, and even our institution here. I've seen it. We've all seen it. So when it comes to those issues, I think that one of the things that really needs to happen is we have to stop the council from interfering in our programs. We have directors who are hired because of their education or because of their experience, and yet you have council interfering with our programs, and they're doing so because they want to get one of their relatives or whoever else hired in that position instead of a qualified individual. So yes, I understand what you're talking about because I have seen it, and I think that it needs to stop. I think that council needs to stick to legislative issues and stay out of programs and what's going on within them, because there are qualified individuals that are running these programs. And at times it seems like you have the uneducated trying to attempt to educate the educators. And it's not, I mean, everybody sees it and everybody has talked about it, but they say it under their breath because a lot of times you have council will say, you know, because of what you said, I'm gonna eliminate your position. And I've seen that also. So I think that that's one thing that needs to happen is the HR program needs to do their job without the council getting involved. Thank you.
So the Oglala Sioux Tribe has a personnel policy and procedures manual. We follow that. And if you ever go to our HR, she makes us follow it. The HR follows our policies and procedures. One thing I would look at if people are applying, because there are jobs openings, I think they just posted them, look at the qualifications. Look at the job requirements and the qualifications and make sure you meet those, right? Because those are things that are looked at, and if you put in your resume and things like that, they'll look at that, and that's what they'll base your application on. I'm not very involved in it. I just know I've helped a couple programs with their job descriptions because they were changing some things, and so I was helping with that, and we were kept to the book. The other thing is that I have full faith in all of our programs, all of our tribal programs. I have full faith in them until, something happens or, otherwise. I have full faith in our tribal programs, and I think we all need to. They need support. They need our support to do their job and do it as professionals, as experts in their area, and I try to provide that. I try to provide that as best I can rather than interfering or anything like that or making accusations. So I just wanted to say that I have full faith in our tribal programs and the people running them and the people following through with them, and I thank them for their service to the Oglala Sioux Tribe. Thank you. So once again, my name is Alicia Musso. I'm running for my third term as your vice president for the Oglala Sioux Tribe. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve in this capacity, to serve our communities, to be a public servant, to help wherever I can, to be a part of this team, the council, the executive committee, our programs, our communities. It really has filled my heart and my spirit, and I love to do it. I love to support our people. I love to do whatever I can to help our people, and I want to continue to do it. And I want to thank you all, OLC and student government, for stepping up to provide this to our community so that they can be informed, they can get to know us, they can hear about issues that we all know we need to work together on. And thank you, Oglala Lakota College, for continuing to educate our community and provide our future leaders. So thank you all again. I appreciate all of you and the things you do for our community, the love you have for our community, because we all here, we're all serving our people. Just want to continue to do that alongside of you in whatever capacity. And yeah, thank you. Love you all.
Thank you all for this opportunity. I want to close by saying that, there's three things that I'm running on, and that's transparency, accountability, and the treaty obligations of these United States. I think that I will not sugarcoat what I'm about to say because I have heard it through many times by going to, I feel like I've been on a roller coaster ride within the last month, back and forth on the reservation, going to different debates and different assemblies that the communities have been putting on. But at all of them, I seem to hear the same issues, and that's it in regards to this current government system and how they seem to not be in touch with the people, that there's a disconnect there, and that they're really concerned about the financial situation of this tribe. I've heard all kinds of numbers, and they're all bad. I mean, to be honest, I'm not a politician. I'm just a concerned citizen like you all. I'm a tribal member, and I think that the only way that we're going to bring about change is to bring about a change in our Constitution. Constitution revision is something that I think really needs to happen. I've stated that before. I think that many times when council is brought before the people and they're someone who has a complaint against the individual council member, it goes before the council, and that I think is wrong. I think that what needs to happen is they need to bring back the ethics board. And the ethics board needs to be autonomous of the council, that the ethics board hears the complaint, makes the decision, and that should be the final word. That if that person is found guilty of the complaint, then if they choose to do so, then they can go to the court system and not back to council. Because I've heard too many times that there's a clique within council. And that I am pretty well aware of. So my final thing is that, as I said before, I'm not much on public speaking, but I do have a good heart and I do have good ideas. I believe that these ideas will take us forward, and hopefully with the right people, we can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the candidates for taking time out of their busy schedule to come speak today. And just want to thank you from the student org and the overall OST. Thank you.
We'd like to call upon the drum to sing a encouragement song, and then we'll go into a 10-minute break after that. Wabila. Ticket number 0733634. Zero 733 634. Anyways, the winner is Don Frank. Go claim your prize in the back, please. break's over. Everyone gather to the gym, please. So we had one OST candidate come in late, so we'd like to call them up to the stage.
Sam, go. Sam, go.
So we'd like to ask Ms. Rabbit here to go ahead and start with her platform.
Hello. Thank you for the invite to come out and talk about my platform and why I'm running for the council representative for the Pine Ridge District. First of all, can I ask for a moment of silence from everybody? Yesterday, I lost a niece in a car accident, and my nephew is fighting in the ICU in Rapid City. So I'd like to say a prayer for their kids and family. Thank you. Hello, my name is Lasanas Das Rabbit. I was born here on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I'm a lifelong resident of Pine Ridge. I am running for OST Council for the Pine Ridge District. My parents are Narciss and Jane Goings Rabbit. My grandparents are Edmund and Mildred Rabbit St. John Sr. and Hobson and Mary Chief Goings. My great-grandparents are Philip Rabbit and Laura Walks with Iron, and Frank and Julia Nelson Goings. I thought long and hard about running for office. After I talked to several elders, I decided to make a change because I'm not scared to address issues. I have my own mind and I won't be bullied into voting. I have sat back and watched councils, past and present, some being dishonest and having little cliques, only helping certain family members, council meetings always going into executive session, keeping the truth from the people, spending the weekend off reservation for meetings with their families on the tribe's dollar, which should have been used for something that's beneficial for our reservation. We have been told many promises, but yet there is nothing really to show for it. A lot of empty promises. My father was Narciss Rabbit. He comes from the Crow Creek, Lower Brew Sioux tribe. He attended OCS here. From there, he went into the U.S. Navy, which he was a very proud veteran. He returned to Pine Ridge Reservation and became a police officer. He attended the Federal Police Academy and was also a U.S. Marshal. For 33 years, he lived and served the community most nobly as a police officer. So I know how it was to feel safe growing up on our reservation. What I want to address ASAP is the law and order issues we have across our reservation. That is the bootleg, unsupervised minors running the streets all night long with guns, trap houses, unanswered death, and unsolved murders. I think that's a big issue here on our reservation.
Another thing is the revenue. Increase the OST program revenue for OST member services. Mandatory yearly increases for the OST victim services and the WIA, a new program. We use them a lot, and they're a smaller program, but they're overlooked, and they're the most that are pretty much utilized to help with jobs, even if it's 6 months. Our weed tax revenue, you know, I've been hearing rumors about that it's just sitting in a safe in Dean's office. I mean, why ain't they distributing it? Or maybe somebody can help answer that along the way. But I don't think that that's where money should be placed. It should be placed in a bank somewhere. There is a place in Colorado that will hold that money because it's weed. And then the accountability. There's no accountability in our tribe, just for certain people, certain workers. And the violation of the OST policy. I've seen that happen a lot because it happened to me, and I fought it, and I got my job back. But I see a lot of that through my years working here and there, being in these programs. You know, you see it. I'll advocate for the OST tribal employees' rights. I will address double standards. Micromanaging needs to stop. They need to let these directors do their jobs. But then here's council comes in and micromanages it. Not all of you, but some of you. Council needs to stay out of the programs. On to the housing. Last year, I worked for housing, and I was placed in the Pass Creek District in Allen. And when I got there, there was big crime. All these kids, every night, something, breaking into cars, beating people up. I mean, like half killing them to where the helicopter was landing out there and stuff. So I got with I went around, introduced myself. I got with the neighbors in the housing. And then I went to Lake Creek, and I talked to Jesse Byerly. So we went over to Allen, and I lit up that housing. I put new poles in, we put brighter lights in, and then I worked with the law enforcement, and we picked up all these kids that were doing whatever. They were all picked up. But after that, the housing is very bright out there. The crime rate is way down. And that's what we need to do in our district, in Pine Ridge, well, all across. But Pine Ridge needs it. You know, and that's what I would be considering working on and helping, you know, working with the CAP office and whoever else we need to light up our streets, you know, get these streets lit up. There's 42 houses that are boarded up. But last year when we went in, some of them, they were minor, like one needed a door, or one needs cupboards, or a fridge, or just something to where they can move in and work around them. But I don't know why they're not moving them in there. They got all these houses boarded up, and half of them's ready to go. We were talking about, well, the vice presidents were talking about the education and stuff. Is our 20 to 29-year group, it's like what you say. You're educated, you come back, okay, go away, go to college, whatever. And I've heard that for years and years and years. Okay, you go, you get your education, you come back, or even from here. But still, you're not qualified for the job. And you got this bachelor's, got a master's. My friend has a bachelor in business, and she's denied a job on this reservation because of her past. You know, it's a past for a reason. I have a past, you know, but I'm older now. You know, I was young. I was young when I was doing what I was doing, but, you know. So I gotta agree with Alicia and Mr. Walks, because that is true. You know, you go away, you come back, and you know, you already got somebody with the GED that's holding this high position because of their relative, or my girlfriend's sister, my boyfriend's brother, whatever. We see that all. But in closing on this, my platform, let's create a new government with new OST constitutional reform changes. If elected, I will work towards solutions to improve the quality of life for each member of our tribe. This includes better health care, especially mental health. That's important to everybody, is your mental health. You know, and we should be utilizing that. And another thing is, why isn't our HHS board looking into why are they always flying somebody out and then they have no ride back to the reservation? They flew my sister clear to Denver. She laid up there about 2.5 months. We didn't have a ride to go get her, you know, so that's kind of the things that, you know, they fly them so far, but then you don't have the resources to go get them. Then that's where we come back to our council reps, you know, if some even help. I remember this. I used to go around with my auntie and my mom to all these council meetings, and I remember Arta Carlo. I remember G. Wayne Tapio and Jump. When that hospital was first built, our IHS, there is a ICU unit there. But why can't we keep our good doctors? That was another question I have. You get some of these good doctors and nurses in here, but then they run them off. You know, look at that ICU, as they put all that money into it, and these people worked hard to build that hospital, and it's not getting utilized. You know, just little things like that. I was small when I went around with my auntie, my namesake, Lasana's killer. And I seen it. I sit and I'd watch and I'd listen. So that's how I know I grew up. So I watched all this. Look at this. This whole front row, there's only one sitting council rep here, and that's Tyler in the back. Where's our sitting council at? They should be here, and the rest of the candidates. I want to thank OLC for putting this together, because this is nice for you to get shunned like this. And yeah, I said it. You know, they should have been here. Shame on them. Shame on them. Also, a safe community. I know it's like this across the reservation, but I live in Northridge and Pine Ridge, and that back road is something else. I mean, every night there's gunshots, you know, things. You got the meth people walking through all night long. I ain't BSing you. They walk until the sun starts coming up, then they're all gone. You know, but all night long my dogs are barking, so I get up, because my sister and I are raising our three-year-old granddaughter, you know, and I need to keep her safe, and, you know, we need to build better for the kids, for these upcoming ones, you know. We need to have a better place, a safer place for them, better housing. So, like, that was my platform, and, you know, I'm glad I got to get it out there. Sorry, I'm nervous. Those of you that know me know I'm not nervous like this, but I am. But anyway, so that's all I ask, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th for the Pine Ridge Village representative. I will fight for you. I'll be your voice. I got a big mouth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rabbit. And
okay.
now come down and we'll give you a gift for coming.
That's Rab.
Candidates. I'll be going over the debate rules. 1, time limits and equal speaking for each participant. 2, timed response will be enforced. Each candidate will speak in an allotted time without interruption. 3, no interrupting while someone is talking during the allotted time. 4, direct responses to questions. Candidates must address the topic asked. 5, right of reply when personnel referred by another candidate. 6, no personal attacks. 7, neutral monitor will enforce rules and manage time. 8, opening and closing statements for each participant. 9, equal opportunities for rebuttal. 10, all claims should be factual and valuable. Okay, we'll be doing opening statements. Each candidate has two minutes.
Mutakiapi. Frank Starr comes out, current OST president. I also sit on the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association chairman, along with a couple of more hats, but I won't mention them, the national ones. My platform today is to continue my role as a president, Itancha, for the Oglala Sioux tribe. And that's to keep on pushing forward with unity at all levels, trying to restructure our tribal government to fit us better, to work with our programs and bring their issues to the table. We need to bring them together, and we need to support them. And I don't see that happening. There is division among our leadership still, and that's been one heck of a battle for me throughout this administration. My biggest fight throughout this administration is within our own tribal government. But I'm going to continue to keep pushing that. You know, one thing I realize that 2 years is not enough for the president position, because you have to get to know the structure, the politics, the policies, procedures, the Constitution, your key players, all your programs, your council. And at a Great Plains level, you need to know, you make connections with tribal leaders throughout the state. Not only that, on a national level, you need to go out there and voice for your people, stand strong for them, advocate, bring issues and resources back to the table, to the tribe. And that's what I've been doing throughout this administration, is trying to unite at all levels. Because I believe that, you know, and it's showing today, in today's world, that's what we need to do to be heard in this world. And I believe it's making a difference. One thing I do notice that throughout the Biden administration, is paying attention to Indian country, and I believe the next, and I'm kind of rooting for Harris to get in there, so she'll continue that effort for Indian country, and we have to prepare for that. That's why we're talking as tribal leaders. We're trying to unify in that effort, that level. So with that, I believe my time's up, so thank you.
Good afternoon. Pardon my voice today. I went out and was at the football game on Friday with Red Cloud and Pine Ridge, and it was a good game. So, so pardon my voice, but my name is Tyler Yellowboy, and I'm the current council representative for the Oglala District, and a current candidate for the president of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. I'm completing my second term as a council representative. Prior to that, I was the district chairman for the Oglala District. Served during that time, during COVID, and I had to learn how to work collectively with my community, but also trying to provide services for the people. I currently serve as your chairman of your finance committee, but also chairman of your education committee. And you know, when we talk about what are we running for, or like one of the questions was asked by the Crazy Horse students is what best suits you to be the president of our tribe. There's a lot of things that come up, a lot of issues that can be addressed. And as the president, it's your job to make sure that those issues get addressed. And also working together collectively with your governing body. And whenever you talk about working collectively, it's sitting down and having those harsh conversations, even though you may have a disagreement. Even though you may think differently, but at the end of the day, collectively, it's you working for a better future for the tribe, for our people. And that's where we should be pushing. You know, today and throughout my campaign, we talked about constitutional reform. Constitutional reform is something that needs to be done. There's a lot of issues that come up when it's constitutional reform, such as economic development, employment, all of this stuff, and it all ties down into our governing document. But when it comes down to it, it's taking the initiative to work with the people to bring that document forward. You know, when you talk about economic development, you talk about land lease. No company wants to come here for 5 years. That should be an issue that we should be bringing forward, and it should have been brought forward, because you have all these businesses that were willing to come in. We've had a lot of, environmental companies taking interest. They wanted to bring a solar farm here. They wanted to bring a wind farm here. And those are over 300 jobs put together. But yet, when it comes down to the politics, it gets killed on the table because of somebody's disagreement with that. So collectively, we should be looking at how we help our people with employment, because it comes on all levels, community and the tribal government. But also it comes down to what document governs our tribe, and that needs to be updated. I really believe it really needs to be updated and really looked at. But with that, I think my time is up, so I will sit down.
First question will be under public safety. What is your approach to engaging with federal and state governments on the policy matters affecting the Oglala Lakota people?
So I was part of the, or I still am, I take part in going into Washington. Maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 council representatives that go to Washington and advocate for law enforcement funding. You know, when we initiated this law enforcement lawsuit with the BIA back during my first term of I think it was the Killer Musso administration, when we first took part in filing the lawsuit, we went to Washington and sat at the table and banged on doors to tell people we don't have enough funding for law enforcement. You know, when the treaty was signed in 1868, there was 133, I believe. I could be wrong, but there was 133 Indian police officers. Today, we only have, I believe, 36 police officers to cover the size of Rhode Island. That's 3.2 million acres of our reservation land. So we take those statistics, and when we go to Washington, we take our documentation and we knock on these doors because the funding is not there. We know the funding is not there. The response time to the calls, and we take all this information, but it came down to pushing the lawsuit. the lawsuit on with the tribe to tell them to negotiate with us. We won the lawsuit, but to this day, the federal government did not and has not sat down with us to have a fair negotiation. So, that's part of the initiative, but also we got to look at how do we do it at home? How can we help our officers here while we're trying to fight for more funding there? And part of in my community, they call it community policing. And that's one of the issues one of our council representatives outgoing from Pine Ridge kept pushing is community policing. How do we help our officers on our own? How do we tell people all of this and keep in line with the laws, but also keep those people safe? So it comes down to a community effort as well, not as well as the federal funding that we receive from BIA OGS.
Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
What is your approach to engaging with federal and state governments on policy matters affecting the Oglala Lakota people?
I believe we're already doing that. Right now, we have engaged our federal agencies a number of times. We took them to court as stated, and right now we're back in court. But we also, when we do these things, we need to stand together in these efforts. And we need to, what I like to see is the tribal council also standing with the president when he's attends these meetings or these litigations, or when I go to TBIC, is Tribal Interior Budget Council. That's where we prioritize our funding with all the federal agencies. And right now, I'm a voting member of TBIC, so I go all the time and advocate on law enforcement and all these other programs, transportation, education, natural resources. So we do a lot of advocating, and it's good to see that when tribes come together at TBIC, we communicate with each other. We try to help each other, and I see a lot of other tribal leaders at the Great Plains at TBIC, and they come and we sit down, we talk. Sometimes we have a meal together, and which is great because it's good to have that bond with other tribes. I know a lot of the tribal leaders, they come every now and then, but I think Oglala is standing strong at TBIC. And it shows. Just recently I was asked to chair one of the subcommittees at National Congress of American Indians, and I accepted the chair position. Why? Because a lot of other tribes from nationwide see that the Oglala Sioux tribe is leading that effort in law enforcement. And that's what we advocate. We go up there, we're very vocal. When we go to Washington, we go to testify, we're very vocal. And it shows. I made connections with the Navajo Nation, the Rocky Mountain region, the Cherokees, and within our own tribes here, the Ochete Shakoi. Our bond is strong, and we need to continue that and continue to build. But I would like to see more participation from our tribal council at these important meetings, so we can continue to be the leader. And it's very hard when I'm standing. Sometimes I feel like I'm standing alone at some of these events. I know there's a lot of people, a lot of our councils sit on these boards, that I don't even know they're on. And that's got to change, you know. We got to start working together. So that's something I would like to change and continue if I move forward. I'd like to change that, and so that we have a better connection, and so we can advocate. We need to stop these cliques within our tribal council, because it's not working for us. We got to start being leaders for our people, our districts, our programs. Our programs, they got educated people running those programs. They're the experts. Let them handle it. Their programs. We got to stop interfering. Separation of power has to happen. Constitution reform has to happen. We need to change the Constitution. I'm a firm believer in supporting our off-reservation members. They need help too. I lived out there. I lived out there for years. So we need to change that Constitution. Constitution reform has to happen. We need a lot of, I heard some good things on ethics. That I'd like to see that happen. And I'll damn well support that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question will be under healthcare and education. How will you address the growing mental health and substance abuse concerns on our reservation?
Well, you know, I've been saying this since I was in the districts, last administration. Last administration, there was hardly any support, even though we were going through this COVID issue, but there was hardly any communication. And to me, mental health played a big role, a big concern. And so that's what I keep bringing up is, what are we doing for our membership? There's nothing out there for the districts. There's no counselors, nobody to go to, nobody to talk to. Things like that, you know. This gentleman over here, Bull, he stepped up and started hosting all these youth events, which I thought was pretty awesome. I went to a lot of his night dances, and things like that need to happen and continue to happen. But yes, we lack resources, we lack funding for behavioral health and mental health, and that's one thing I'm big on. Why? Because I'm a combat veteran. 30 years of therapy, treatment, counseling. So I have a strong background when it comes to those issues that deal with our youth and adults. You know, we still suffer mentally. Look at the traumas that we go through. We're still suffering from the COVID. You know, a lot of our youth during COVID were stuck at home. We had a lot of suicides. We need to change these things. So those are some of the issues that we're going to try and find funding for should I move forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, just recently, the Oglala tribe enacted the behavioral health management component with our opioid settlement money. And, you know, I visited with Mr. Kennedy the other day, and he has some announcements that are going to be coming out that's focused on behavioral health, that's focused on, you know, what his program was entitled or his program was created for. So, and going, I visited, we went to the forum at Little Wound School with his kids, and this is one issue they brought up was the mental health and trauma. And one thing that they pointed out was, why isn't there anything being offered? Where's the college career for that? And, I can't answer that. That's something that, their counselor at the school, they can reach out to wherever they go to school and whatnot and have those conversations with those students. But, the realization of being at that forum with those kids where, they're suffering from trauma, and how do they heal from that? How do they heal from a system that's broken? And, a lot of, the questions that were coming from there were asking for help. And, you look at it realistically, and all of our communities all need help. They all need healing in some sort or another. And I did speak about Mr. Blackbull's doings in our community, how he has the cultural, the night dances, the hand games, and so forth. And I encouraged, the council representatives that were there, that are running, and that have already been seated because they were seated, they won by acclamation, was to start having those conversations with their community. And after, I spoke, Councilman Jumpin' Eagle had already stated they're starting a group. And so to have those support mechanisms, especially after COVID, we're still recovering from that, both on the education level and on the mental health level. But to put a little cap on it, we do have a behavioral health program, and Mr. Kennedy is heading that up. And I visited with him Friday, and he said Monday or Tuesday he'll start putting out information on what his program is going to start offering on the behavioral health side from the tribes. So, thank you.
Thank you. The next question will be under economic policy. What strategies do you have to support economic development and job creation for our members?
They're sitting up here saying who's going to go. I just got done, so. The thing about it is, like I said, when you go back to your constitution, your land leases are only for 5 years. So when you want to try and bring in a company, take Pine Ridge, for example, you have Taco John's. They have to get a 5-year lease to operate. And, they're one of the few that have businesses here. And that's why, I'll reiterate what I said at the Little Wound Forum was, we have our own economic development here, our own entrepreneurs that have their own businesses. You have Regozas, you have, the Marufos, the Angies, you have, the Vasus doing their cafe, you have Washte Wota up there, you have all of these local economic entities that are here. And then you have, like I stated before, we had the solar farm that was, trying to come in and, employ 200 people. 200 of our tribal people, and then that die in the committee. And then you have a wind farm that Mr. Jack's been trying to get going, and that was going to be over 100 jobs. All of these entities trying to come in and trying to bring jobs to the tribe, but also you got to look back at, we do have jobs advertised with the tribe. We have corrections officers. We have all of these, jobs that are there. But the one problem we run into is the drug test. Whenever you apply for a job and you go and you get drug tested, that's where we find out that because marijuana is legal here, and I'm not knocking marijuana, but because marijuana is legal here, people assume they can get the job because they applied for it. And so that's where we're running into issues. And when we come into that, we get $638, which are federal dollars, and you have to abide by the Drug-Free Workplace Act. And when you receive those dollars, and when the president signs it, drawing down those dollars, there's a section in there that says that the tribe must follow the Drug-Free Workplace Act. So even though, you know, we might have said, and the only entity that has waived it today is the casino. And even the casino is struggling to employ people. So, you know, we're in a place where how do we employ people even at a place where, you know, marijuana is not being drug tested anymore or being screened for drug tested, but also, you know, getting these jobs filled, because I think there was over 20 jobs last week that was posted, and some of them are still being re-advertised. And like correction, she's been trying to get people in those positions, but, you know, again, how do we fix the problem with nobody wanting to apply? So, you know, just having that conversation as a tribal leader to open the door to some of these conversations and sitting down and saying, okay, what can you bring to my people? Outside entities, but also looking at the inside of how do we get our people able to work in our tribal programs.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question again?
Just kidding. What strategies do you have to support economic development and job creations for our members?
Okay, yes. Well, first of all, like I stressed, you know, is separation of powers got to happen. And I think that's one of our downfalls of our businesses here, is just that we need to restructure. We need to look at things different. We need to separate the casinos. We need to separate some other businesses. But, you know, one thing I do realize that we lack here is tradesmen. You know, I got in a plumbing business back in 2005, and I started a business here on my own. I didn't do subcontract work. I did my own service plumbing. So I go around and fix houses, residential houses, and man, I get so overwhelmed with jobs. There's so many work that needs to be done in the trades. You know, like not just plumbing, but electrical, carpentry. You know, HVAC. We hardly have any of those tradesmen that are running a business out there. There's just certain key people. But you can make money on your own. Why? It's tough, but you have to figure out how to operate first. But I believe we need to do that. We need to encourage. Look at our situation here. We have a high rate of unemployment, and I believe if we can start some kind of apprenticeship program, you know, I always believe, you know, I was always a firm believer of not to do waivers with our Tarot Commission, because, you know, when we do waivers on projects, it crumbles our Tarot Commission. So what we did is we sent some people over to a conference, our Tarot Commission. They came back with a lot of ideas, and they were saying the only tribe that does waivers on tarot fees is the Oglala Sioux tribe. And that's why we're not successful with their Tarot Commission. So I believe we need to stop doing that. I know I met with the Crazy Horse Planning Commission, and they all agree not to waive tarot fees, but some districts did. So there's a miscommunication right there. But we need to bring those issues to the table, correct them. We need to enforce some of our policies and procedures because they're not being followed. They're not being, the guidelines, you know, if it's not brought up, then it continues. But there are laws in place, and the Taro Commission has a Taro ordinance that does not waive fees. But yet the tribal council waived them fees. You need to follow the ordinance. It is a Taro ordinance. I believe the Taro Commission can create training and jobs. We can build our own company, maybe a manufacturing company, if we just leave our commission, Taro Commission alone. Our casino, if we just leave our casino alone. We need to leave those businesses alone. You know, we met with the casino general manager, and we asked him, what can we do? Is there anything that you need help with? We can try to turn this program around. And we brought ideas up there, and that was sports betting at a higher or different level. And we talked about sports betting and bringing more business, millions of dollars, if we just move it off the casino and do it area wide, nationwide actually. So we're working on that to see if we can put that in place. Also, our broadband network. We're building our own broadband network from the ground up. The ground up. We went after millions and millions of dollars, I think up to around $50 million just for infrastructure. And we're getting that in place right now, and we're building off. Our CEO has hired a team, and it's going to get bigger once it's operational. Some of it is operational. I do have a .gov address in the president's office. So when we get that up, it's going to create a ton of jobs for IT specialists, secretaries, things like that. And it's going to be owned by the Oglala Sioux tribe. So I'm very excited to see that happen. And that is coming, and it is happening as we speak. And we're networking with other tribes. You know, we're working with other tribes, and we're sharing ideas. You know, we created organizations to work with other tribes. So the tribes are also working at a different level too, with networking. So that's a good thing. But economic business is, I see a future for it, and we just need to work together. We need to work together and think about our membership first, and break up these cliques and create opportunities for our people.
Thank you. So these next two questions, they'll be coming from the audience. First question, our kids are our future. Why don't we focus on more education and laws? What are you going to try and change?
Education, yes. You know, I'm a firm believer that, you know, a lot of us, we suffered a lot of trauma on this reservation. So we have learning disabilities. And I'm a firm believer that higher education is not for everybody. That is why I went to trades, learn through the trades, from apprenticeship, from the rock bottom down on up. And if you look around, just like I mentioned, we need a lot of tradesmen here. And if you look at our membership, if we can find instructors that can host classes on tradesmen, a basic fundamentals of carpentry, plumbing, electrical. I think we can grow off that. Before I was president, I was working for the VA. We had a program there for troubled veterans that go through alcohol and drug therapy, in-house inpatient therapy, and then in this program, the veterans will come to my shop that want to learn plumbing. So I would mentor them. They'll follow me when I do work orders, and I teach them the basics of plumbing and pipe fitting. Those kind of things need to happen for our membership, because like I said, there's a lot of opportunities out there. We got a lot of skilled people out there, but because of the lack of education that a lot of them seek, they're just not confident enough to go after a higher education. So I think that's very necessary, where we can change that around and make them tradesmen, use their skills. There's a lot of coordinated. Indians are very coordinated, and so when you work with your hands, you learn. You find out the abilities you have physically. So that's what I believe in, and that's what I like to see is more tradesmen. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the question is about education, right? So in my going around and visiting with people, and last night I had the opportunity to visit with an educator that works at Little One School. And she said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "Okay." She said, "What do you think about Lakota language?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Why is it that Little Moon School is the only one mandated to teach Lakota language for 2 semesters, and all the other schools on the reservation aren't required to do that?" And I said, "It's a tribal law that they have to be taught. That has to be taught." And she said, "Well, nobody's following it. I get kids from American Horse, Crazy Horse," and she said, "they come in." She said, even in from Red Cloud. And she said, "They're not where we're teaching here at Little Wound." And so she said, "So that's why I'm asking you, what's Lakota language mean to you?" And so, going around and campaigning across this reservation, I'm learning that there are needs out there that are for different people. When I was on a college board here back when President Shortbull was the president, we had that conversation about trades. And then automotive started. It's good to see automotives going, because if you go around, everybody needs a mechanic. I took my vehicle to Rapid City, $2,200 to get it fixed. I brought it to a guy here in Kyle, and he charged me $75. All those trades out there, and I agree, we need trades, because some of us aren't book smart. Some of our students aren't like that. Some of our students aren't going to get their PhDs. They're not going to go into getting their masters. Some of them, they're taught by trade. They're taught by experience. They're taught by their life experiences. And so when it comes to education, it's a very complex conversation, because it moves out into what's being taught. Where are our teachers? We come from a time, or we're living in a time where we don't have certified teachers in our school systems. We're coming from a time where it's 70% truancy rate across this reservation. How do we address that? How do we get kids into school? How do we get the parents to get the kids back into school? You know, we're coming off of a time where we say it's COVID and our test numbers are going to be down. They are, because there's no proficiency of getting them back to where they need to be. And I say that because the other day at 10:30 in the morning, I came out of the store and you had these two kids sitting outside of the store in Oglala asking for $2. I said, "You're not in school today?" "No, we missed the bus." "Well, you're riding the bike. Why didn't you ride your bike to school?" "No, we're just going to take the day." You know, we expect our students to be moving forward. And, you know, how do they do that without the support system at home? How do they do that without the support system? And the other thing that I want to reiterate is, or go back to is, you know, we've been going to all the schools and taking part in these forums, and they're the government classes, but yet tribal government is not being taught. Treaties are not being taught. You know, for me, if those were my kids and that was my school, I'd be trying to push treaty. I'd be trying to say, here, this is what we need to learn today. Here's the 1851 treaty. Here's the 1868 treaty. Here's how the IRA government functions. So that way there's a grasp of that. And that way we're, you know, when it comes to questions or, you know, and I applaud, you know, Erlene Rooks out there for, you know, having her kids do mock council meetings, and they all sit on 7 of the tribe's committees, and they bring resolutions, and they do that in their classroom. And that's great. But, you know, when it comes down to it, it's, you know, where do we go? How do we get teachers? We got teachers, okay? Trade, I agree. Trade needs to be there. Some of them could be ranchers. Some of them can be farmers. Let's talk about hemp. You know, hemp is the biggest thing, and I visited with Mr. Fire Thunder the other day, and it's a very unutilized product that probably could bring jobs and dollars to the tribe or dollars to their private businesses that they use. But because of lack of interest, because of the marijuana industry, nobody wants to talk about hemp. And hemp was the first thing that came, and it should have been utilized first. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. Now you guys can do your closing, so rock, paper, scissors.
So in my closing, I just want to say come November 5th, you know, there's a complex of issues that are out there facing the national ballot. And it's time to educate. You know, I used to tell my mom, I said, just don't go in there and start marking numbers. Just, you know, ask me if you need help. Because a lot of those issues pertain to the tribe, especially on a national level. And this one is key. You know, we have a former president who's not been friends to the Native American population. And we have an issue of, and one of the questions that was asked to me in Martin when I went out there was, what's the tribe's plan if Trump gets elected? And I told her, I said, we're going to fight like hell. Because that's one thing that we have to do as a nation, is to stand our ground on our treaty, stand our ground on our rights. Because when we start letting people push us around, where's the respect in that? And so, you know, I was going around and visiting with people, and I talked about, you know, what sovereignty mean to you? And they couldn't answer. They said, oh, we're a tribe. Okay, but what does it mean to you? And I asked this because when we negotiated our gaming compact quite a number of years ago, the Attorney General came and we wanted to increase our machines on the floor, and the same Attorney General who's in there now asked us how much our sovereignty means to us. Does it mean more slot machines? And so we backed away from the table and said, our sovereignty is non-negotiable. We as a tribe need to stand on that. We as a tribe need to make sure that that's echoed. We all saw on social media today, there's a piece of paper going around that says, we'll give you a one-way ticket and you never come back to to Rapid City. What's up with that? That's our homeland up there. Those are our people up there. Where's our stance on that? Why shouldn't we be up there doing that? And we've made numerous attempts, numerous motions to have our President Starr comes out, meet with the mayor. And I don't know if that ever happened, but I think it's high time we go up there as all tribal leaders, like Mr. President said, and go up there and see that mayor and let him know he's on Lakota land. And all of these people that should have been here, should have been here. They should have been here answering questions and telling you all why they want to have your vote. But they're not here today. Maybe they made different plans, or maybe they feel comfortable that they don't need to voice their opinions here. I don't consider myself a radicalist, but I stand up for what's right. I stand up for, if I see a wrongdoing, I'm going to stand up and say that's wrong. I follow the policies. I follow what's laid in front of me until it's changed. I believe in an ethics committee. I've been saying that. Why should we be governing ourselves as elected leaders? That should be a separate committee outside of a governing body. If we're doing our job, we're following our Constitution and upholding our laws, we shouldn't have nothing to worry about of an impeachment complaint coming against me. The ethics needs to be looked at. We need to give that board the ability to exercise the right to disciplining the governing body, because that was one of the questions I got out there in Martin. Who governs the council when they do wrong? Is it the president? No, it's the governing body. And that's not right. We shouldn't be policing ourselves. So with that, my name is Tyler Yellowboy. November 5th, asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we talk about a lot of things that should be happening, but some of the things that do need to happen is to support each other. And throughout this whole administration, it has been very difficult in the position of the president, because there's division amongst the tribal council and with the president. And we're not supporting each other. And that needs to change. And I've heard a lot of speeches that's some of the candidates that are running, that's what they want, and that's good to hear. Because that's what needs to really happen, is we need to restructure this tribal government. We need to take down some of this, I'm going to say corruption that's happening within our tribal government. It's and to stop some of this controlling that's going on. It is very difficult to stand up here and lead a tribe when you have when you're fighting your own leadership on issues. And I think those ones that do support change, I thank them for coming into my office talking about things and how we can change things. Those are the kind of people I'm looking for to support at all levels. We need to when we go to Washington, when it's time to testify on behalf of your tribes, we need more support up there. And to stay at these meetings. Don't just go there and check in and leave. A lot of these meetings, I find myself sitting at one of the last ones there at a meeting. That needs to change. I'm not going to babysit councilmen. But that's what I see. A lot of our leadership, they go in, check in meetings, and they leave. Have some integrity. Your people put you in office for a reason. And I believe in leadership by example. You should lead by example. Nobody should be there telling that, yes, you need to be there. You should have an interest to be there. You should be bringing ideas to the table. Because sometimes I don't see that happening. When I say leadership by example, I mean integrity, honesty. You know, I took an oath to be a pipe carrier. And that's what I try to live by nowadays. You know, I took a lot of oaths through the federal government, tribes, different tribes, Tokala, the tribal government, different positions, and different federal agencies. So now I live by the song and prayer now. Yeah, I'm still learning, but that's what I believe in. The power is in the people. Lead from the heart. And that's what I've been doing throughout this administration, is try to be a leader by example. And that's what I try to uphold. So I thank you for listening to me today, and I just want to encourage you to get out there and vote. Not just at the tribe level, you need to vote at the national level, because it's going to count. Because if a different leader gets in that don't support Indian country, we're gonna be in a fight for our lives at all levels. You're gonna see programs disappear. You're gonna see our water wars. We're gonna be losing water wars. We're gonna be losing maybe some land. So get out there, it's very important. And I want to thank you for listening to me today. Thank you. Hopla.
Center Student Organization would like to say Wopila Tonka to each and every one of you that came. And this is our first time doing a debate, a tribal debate, so it's a good turnout. And a few of our student organization members would like to say something.
I'd like to thank everyone that took the time out of their day to come here, especially the candidates who know it's a busy time. So thank you for coming, and we hope to continue this. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. That did show, vice president, candidates that came, everybody, the audience showed up. We really appreciate you, the drum group. Like they said, it was our first time doing a debate. I think we all did good, so thank you.
Also, we would like to thank Lakota Medicine Crow and Esperanza Dixon. They're the ones who made the little cards with your guys' name on there, and we are sorry that we messed up on your name. We didn't mean to, You know, there's a lot of you candidates, and we kind of got mixed up. We had someone under Porcupine District that wasn't from Porcupine District. But thank you, guys. And I'd like to call up Mary Horse Felicia to do the closing prayer.
All of you that came, you're blessed, and you're going to get in there. But I don't know. I like to pray, but for some reason I was asked to make wojapi and fry bread. So it's been a long time since I did that, because I'm always running around all over the place, being radical. But my granddaughter, she communicates with me all the time. If it's a hand signal and if it's a down, I don't say anything. But, you know, before I pray, I don't know if the people are out there listening to this very important forum, the last one. You got to wake up. And I'm really proud of OLC. All the wonderful things they did for children, the young adults, and I really promote for them. I always tell my grandchildren, go to college here. I went to college middle of South Dakota, where there was redneck country, they call it. And I survived it. That was right after 1973. So it kind of gave me the hardness, the ability to speak. Those professors were really on our case because we're Lakota. And I talk broken English, and they corrected me. So after 4 years, boy, I could really talk with anybody from different nationalities. But I just like public speaking because I was taught to do that. But enough said, and I'm congratulating all of you that made it. And we always pray that your brain, your nasula, you have to start thinking about the people. Ushika people. I'm Ushika. Turn around and look. My grandma always say that. Look in that mirror. What you see in there is your people. So we need to change. You know, everybody's talking about change. So you need to start changing that attitude and that action when you sit. Look at these people. If it was left up to me, I'd get rid of them and put the ones that are here into office. But like I said, I like to get off hand, and my granddaughter's looking at me somehow, so I'll end it right there. But Tunkashila, I'm better killer, ichuha, lel chaje ochpe kapi, itacha, ian kapi, yung kohina wine chala kapikte, kate topa, lina oyate ki wine chankape, hechel, unganayan pinktation. Ishtukashila, oyate lila ota kakisha umpi, unshikapi. Hochtagen jutapschen, is wakanja unshikabla. Yung kahina lina itacha ian koktegelina, HLI dakwaki. Lina wanichinkte. Jehechus woyukja. Na ishlel wote ash for our loved ones that passed on. Ahicha kiganakam. Yung kana la washtikte. Yung kahechus na ish tukashila. Ungala pichuha, yohila, make it safe so that they can get back to their home. And Gashila, Ahechus Wopila Chijane Chetka, Ushich Hoyawa, Mitakuase. Wopila.
I'd like to call upon the drum to sing a song to end it. And then after they're done, we'll be feeding.
Kola Bull. Nien and Okawichan in Trapi, let ya Uwo. Oglala Lakota College student organization, hey, let ya Gashkapi Akajuna. Nie, Ukupi Chai. La Daya Yaloma. I want to say that thank you on behalf of the Oglala Lakota College Pine Ridge Student Organization. They gave you some Gashpapi here. So I want to express our thank yous, and to the people here, they're going to feed over there, so you guys stick around and eat something. You guys danced. Boy, some of you guys, I didn't know Frank can dance like that, you know. I seen that John Travolta move coming out. Oh, thank you on behalf of me and my daughter, my family, and everybody here. Opila and Kinichapala.
We have 4 gifts left, so we're gonna be drawing for that. So you guys get ready. Get ready, pull your red tickets out. And then before we all leave, we would like to have a picture with you guys, the candidates, vice president and president. So don't go nowhere, and then we're gonna send you guys home with a full belly and watach. So thank you. All right, first ticket, 0733639. Nobody? On the back, it says Erica Buckman. And second ticket, get ready. 0733631. Oh, you could go back there. Yeah. Okay. Third one. 0733642. I'll read it again because I messed up. 0733642. Got a wiener. What is this? All right, the last one.